like I think I mentioned earlier, I've been a foster parent for about 35 years. So I'd like to kind of outline what it's like to have a new person just walk into your house unannounced, and kind of like how I go about preparing them for whether they're here for a day, a week, a month, a year, or till they're 18. And all of that has happened. I've had probably well over 60 kids in all that time. Um, a number of them, I think five different families, uh, between two and three siblings together coming into my house. So I've had a lot of experience in dealing with any kind of issue you can think of. Of course, when I say when I say I've seen everything, one more child walks in and shows me I haven't. So raising kids, I guess, ongoing in the years has changed as well. And the children themselves have changed. There was no such thing as social media 35 years ago, so that was never an issue. They would see their families at the scheduled time, and then we deal with the consequences after that or before that and get on with life. So raising kids is a very difficult job. It's probably the most important job that anyone can do in their whole life. And I know a lot of people today in our society don't want to raise kids, and that's okay. That's their business. I've got some kids that are adults and don't want to raise kids. I've got some kids that are adults that have already raised their kids, and there's grandchildren coming on, and then great grandchildren coming on. So I've been kind of had all the stages of life and children. I love seeing my grandkids, and some of them like seeing me, some of them don't. It just depends how active and misbehaved they are. So I'll tell you kind of what happens. I usually get a call from Child and Family Services saying that they have this child and could I take him or her? And then they give me a little rundown of what their age is and what's going on in their life. And and then they bring them out, and either if we have the opportunity to visit before they move, that's wonderful. Yes, but a lot of times there's no time for that pretty little visit. They just are moved here, lock, stock, and barrel. So in the house they go. Come, I'll never forget my very first two were sisters, and that's going 35 years ago. So the oldest now is 50, and her sister is, gosh, 47, 48. Anyhow, when they first walked into my house, they came with two garbage bags of clothes, which is sad in itself, but that's not irregular or not average. That is pretty much generally what happens. Kids come with their little garbage bags full of whatever they have or they want to bring. So they walk into my house and we sit down at the kitchen table with the social worker and we talk. I tell them a little about me. I tell them about my life, and then we get to the rules. And depending on the age of the child, of course, that's always adjusted. But over the years, I've had a tendency, or CFS has the tendency, to send teenagers my way. So I usually get, as time goes on, I get tougher and tougher kids because as time goes on, kids are getting tougher. Our world is hard and getting harder. So the children, of course, have to live with that and come with that. And the first thing I want them to all be aware of that I'm a very loving home. I have rules, but I expect them to be part of my family. I don't want them to think themselves as a foster child. Back in the day, they used to call me mom. A few would just call me Betty, and that's okay. I mean, some just absolutely refuse to settle in and become part of the family, and some settled in very quickly. So the rules: their first chore, above everything else, is their schoolwork. So I make it very clear whether they're 6 or 16. And I haven't had too many 6-year-olds. I've had a number of them, but the major problems are usually the teenagers. And I say that above all is your schoolwork is the most important thing, and I will make sure for you it's the most important thing. And the first consequence of all is taking away something you like the most, whether in the back in the years it was TV or the telephone. Teenagers, it was always the telephone. Now, of course, it's a computer or the internet or their phone. Now, if they come with a phone, well, that's wonderful. But I have very poor satellite or internet connection here for phones besides my Wi-Fi. So sometimes the kids have to go up on top of the hill there and stand on by the fence and talk to whoever they want to talk to, whether it's sunny or shiny, rain or sleet or snow, like the mailman. They'll go up there and sit on their phone, which is okay. I got no problem with that, long as their homework is done. So then they have chores, and of course, chores are very important. I don't care how old the child is; you find them appropriate chores. So teenagers, of course, have to do dishes or sweep the floor, or every Saturday we usually do a house cleaning. So that's mopping and dusting and vacuuming, whatever has to be done, and everybody does it, and everyone is expected to do it. That is basically my rule. You're part of the family. That means you have to act like part of the family, which means taking responsibilities within the family. And I give them allowances, depending on the age. Again, it varies to all the way up to teenagers, $10 a day, which not $10 a day, $10 a week, which of course also varies. If they want to do extra chores, they can get extra money. And along with all these wonderful little things are the consequences. And if they don't follow the rules or my guidelines, and I'm happy to negotiate, I'm happy to fluctuate, they have to deal with the consequences, which is, of course, like I said, losing their privileges of phone, TV, internet. I can turn off that Wi-Fi real quick. I got no problem with that. So that's the general rule of thumb of starting a child coming into your home and making them welcome, making them feel loved, and making them feel part of the family. And that's, I think, the most paramount, is making them feel part of the family. So I've heard horror stories from kids from other homes that they've gone to, that they were just treated as a guest, maybe a very poor guest, that didn't have the option of joining the family entertainment or whatever was going on. So that's not how I run my life. I've taken my kids all over the world. I've taken them to Australia. I've taken them to Disney World, the mountains, Vancouver. You name it, I've done it. Camping. So I'm not afraid to take the kids anywhere. Usually, I'd like to get my kids into cadets. It has been Sea Cadets, but I have to travel. I was traveling for 25 years, once a week, to wherever I was. If I was living in my own place, old place there, it was to Selkirk to take the kids to Sea Cadets. Here, I was taking my children to Brandon. So that's a 45-minute trip one way. I have no problem putting myself out for my kids, because it's very important that they have something that they enjoy doing. Now, if they don't like cadets, it could be sports. I really don't care what they really like. I always encourage whatever they like to do, but if they can't figure something out, I figure it out for them. And because to me, cadets is a wonderful experience. They get an opportunity to travel, as well as meet their friends once a week in a structured setting. I really have pushed cadets, and I'm not saying that's for everybody. Some kids just don't like cadets, and that's fine. It depends on their age and how they feel when they get here. So that, in a nutshell, is the beginning of becoming a foster parent. Nothing's easy about it, but it is a wonderful experience. I've had many, many wonderful experiences, and the love of many, many children. And of course, I love them right back. And kids, of course, need love. They don't want to love. They need love. So that's the first step is, in drawing a child into your life, is to show them love, show them that they're safe, listen to them. When a child talks to me, I stop what I'm doing and I turn around and I look at them, therefore giving them my full attention. So all the scheme of things, if you don't give your child attention, it doesn't matter what else you give them, they're going to feel unwanted and unloved. So I think I'll stop there, and I have a few other things I'd like to show you in the house. I just put some bread on, so as soon as the dough comes out, I'm going to show you how I put a loaf, 2 loaves in the oven. And I'd also like to show you how to sew a button on. I have so many kids that don't know how to sew a button on. So those are the 2 things that we're going to do today, other than that what you saw, you'll see my plants that the seedlings have already started. Okay, so we'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Okay, today's February 16th. What is that? 4 days since I put those seeds in. I just wanted to show you what's happened. Some have started, some haven't, but because some have, I need to get them into the light. So these ones at the end, that you can see their little heads sticking up, that's cabbage and broccoli. And the others, there's some lemongrass started up. It's very hard to see right now, but you will in time, because I'll keep track of everything, and I'll show you how it all looks. And when we're ready to start moving them into other pots, I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, I'm going to make a couple loaves of bread. I use the bread machine, but if you don't have a bread machine, no problem. You just make this recipe, knead it out, and then let it rise, just like the bread machine will let it rise. So I've got 6 cups of flour in here. Right now I'm using white. You can use any color or any kind of flour, white in combination with the brown or whole wheat, whatever you choose. This is yeast. That's 2 tablespoons on one side. I have to separate the yeast with the salt, so 2 tablespoons yeast on one side, and then 2 teaspoons of salt. And that's 1, 2 teaspoons of salt. Your cupped hand is a teaspoon. 2 eggs. That's my eggs from the barn, fresh this morning, or probably last night. I don't think it came from this morning. 6 tablespoons oil. And then 1 cup warm milk. I use 2%. You can use whatever you choose. Doesn't really matter. And then I put it into the machine. Or at this point, you put it into a bowl and start kneading it. This is way easier. So this will be working now for approximately 30 minutes. Of course, kneading won't take that long, but this is the lazy man's way. Okay, once this is done, I'll show you the results, and then we'll go on with the rest of it. Okay, so this is the dough I just put into my machine about 35 minutes ago, and it's ready to be pulled out and thrown into 2 bread containers or bread pans. So I'll show you to do that now. Okay, so this is the dough I just pulled out of the container. I'm going to cut it up, and then I'm going to put it into the bread pans. I divided the dough up into 2 bread loaf pans, and I just kind of folded them like you see here. Now I'm going to put some egg wash on top, and that's going to help them turn nice and brown. And I have this little pastry brush that I bought, and that's all I use it for, is just this, putting egg wash on. And egg wash means you just take a regular egg and scramble it up into a mixture with nothing added other than just the egg itself. And then to the other one. And this will make it glossy, as well as nice and toasty brown. And I never use up the whole egg, of course, but that's okay. My little puppy likes to lick up the last of the yolk that's left. She waits for me to finish because she knows what's coming. And I'm very liberal with the egg yolk. Or egg, because it's not just yolk, it's the white too. And then I just add some sesame seeds. Now it's white, but it will be brown when it comes out of the oven. They get toasted too. And that just adds a little bit of flavor when you're eating the bread. So now this has to double in size, and so I'm just going to cover it with a tea towel, and wait for, because it's warm in my house, it usually takes about 15-20 minutes before it's ready to go in the oven. Okay, so now we've got the bread out of the oven. Looks good, doesn't it? Nice and brown. It's hot, so you gotta be careful. Now I have these little covers on. They kind of help me get them out of the bread pans easier. They're just a silicone type of covering. You can buy it pretty much anywhere. There's one, there's two. So that's my 2 loaves of bread. Didn't take long from start to finish. And even if you don't have a bread machine, it's very simple to knead. But I'm old, so I like the machine. So I'm just going to cover it up and cool it off, and then we're going to be putting them away. So the bread is cooling, and that's the end of this video. I was going to show you how to put a button on, but I kind of ran out of time. So I think tomorrow or the next day I'll do buttons, sew buttons on, and I'll show you how to iron. My grandson didn't know how to iron, so I'm assuming a lot of people don't. So I'm going to have that as well as anything else I can think of on the next video. Have a great evening, great day. Bye-bye.